everyone, and welcome back to Winter 89 Colors. My name is Melissa, and I am here today to do something that usually doesn't end well for me, and that is attempting to start a series on my channel. So, this is the kind of series that I've put some thought into, and I'm hoping that because of the loosey-goosey nature of it, I will not feel overwhelmed by it. It will happen as it happens, when I feel like it. Hopefully we'll have more than one video, but if this is the only video, that's fine. It's all good. So, this was inspired, I would like to start there, by a tag on Instagram by Kate's Coloring Pages. And that is the tag, "No book left untouched." Now, in the case of the tag, I'm pretty sure what she was intending was that you would have a fully completed coloring page in every book you own by the end of the year. I've taken that and twisted it a little bit. So what I'm going to do in this series is I am going to attempt to literally touch with the end of my pencil. So I just want to put some color in some way in every single one of my books. Doesn't have to be a complete page. I would just like to make sure that I am giving it the old college try and trying to get something done. So what I've got here is a really big pill bottle filled with every single one of my books that I have not completed a page in yet this year of 2026. So what I mean by that is it's February now, nearly the end of February as I'm filming this. So I went and I wrote out every single book that is in my collection that I have not completed a page in yet as of the beginning of the year. That I intend to touch at some point. So I did leave a couple out that were untouched, but that's because they were perhaps something like a collector's edition or had some sort of sentimental value, something that just keeps me hanging on to it, and I don't necessarily have the intention of coloring in it at this time. So those I did leave out. But everything else is in here. So as I'm filming these videos, or one video, depending on how this goes, this container will get emptier and emptier, and we will see how far we get in the collection throughout the year. I do have a set of rules that I have created for myself. I'm calling this the lottery, by the way. I was going to call it the No Book Left Untouched lottery, but that feels a little bit on the nose, like I'm stealing her idea completely, which I hope she's not offended by this. Kate, you're not offended by this, right? All right, so rule number 1 is that there will be no skipping. I will not be skipping any one of these pulls. The only exception to that is if I do complete a page in that book this year. So for example, between me filming this video and then if I film another video somewhere in there, I complete an entire page or finish off a whip in that book, then I can skip it. But there is no other excuse for skipping. There's none of this, oh, well, I just colored in it recently, or, oh, but it's not that season. No, that's not the goal of this. We are going to touch these books. It is going to happen. You know, I'm realizing that sometimes touching every single book in the way of completing an entire page maybe it's a bit of a lofty goal. So why don't we, in this case, decide to just touch them quite literally, much more literally than untouched generally implies with us. So rule number 2 is that if I come upon a book that has a whip in it, I must touch at least one of those whips in it. Again, in the meaning that all I have to do is maybe fill in one little section on, or do one little bit of shading on it. It doesn't have to be a lot, but I have to do something in at least one whip that's in that book. If there's only one whip, then that's the whip. If there's multiple whips, I pick one. But rule number 3 is if there is no whip, then I must start something. Again, even if it's just, you know, a tiny little leaf on the title page, fine. Let's just do it. Let's just touch the book. And rule number 4, I will be including PDF pages. And if all the pages are printed of this book out and I'm physically capable of pulling it off my shelf, great. Then I just stick to rules number 1, 2, and 3. If it has not all been printed, then I need to add the addition of we must print one page. We don't have to color that page, but we must print one page and then also follow through on 2 and 3. This is going to encourage me to start looking at these books as a much more physical presence in my collection so that I am not skipping over them simply because of the excuse of, oh, well, you know, I'd have to go through and look through the folder and then I'd have to print, etc. No, like, enough is enough. I have quite a few PDFs that deserve some attention and love. So let's do that. So those are the 4 basic rules that I have for right now for this particular challenge to myself. There will be other nuances and variances and things that I will add in, but at its core, those are the rules. So number 5 is not a rule, it is a guideline. And that is basically that when I pull a book, I'm going to work on that book immediately upon pulling it for as long as I can handle working in it. And I'm going to try to do as much of this as possible on camera. So that means if I work on a whip, or I start a page, or I start 2 pages, or I work on every whip, whatever I am capable of being inspired to do in that book, I'm going to do that, preferably in one stretch. If it comes to the point where I have to quit because of either I'm getting sick of this, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting tired, I need to eat dinner, etc., whatever, then that's the end of that. But as long as I've touched it, I've put some color somewhere on the page, then I can quit and we move on. That little name draw goes in the garbage and it can be considered complete. What I'll probably do at that point is, if I do intend to continue with it, is I'll put it in the pile that I usually keep my recent whips in. I have a little pile of whips that I'm not sure that I'm done with this book for right now. I could still come back to this whip within the month or 2, and I'll leave that in a pile. Every couple of months I go through and I'll take a look at what whips I have on the run, and I'll just, either leave them there or put them back depending on how I'm feeling about them at that time. So with that little bit of explanation out of the way, I hope that you understand what's going on. Of course, if you don't, please feel free to comment down below if anything is unclear. And of course, I invite anybody who's watching this, anybody who is finding that finishing a complete page in a book is too much, maybe lower your standards a little bit. That's what I'm doing. I've learned that this month I cannot rely on myself to force myself to finish pages anymore if I want to get any coloring done. So I am going to touch these books. So with that in mind, let's draw out of this wonderful little pile that I've created. Now, before I put it in this bottle, I did mix them up all very, very well. So I should be able to just select one very easily at random. So here we go. That's the one. We put the rest away. And I did this, instead of doing a random spinner wheel or digitally or whatever, for some reason, again, having things in a physical sense for me feels more productive and feels more in tune with my learning style. So as convenient as it is to do things digitally, I thought it would be more fun and more, productive feeling to do it physically. Not to mention, I just had the urge to write a list today. Sometimes I do that. I don't know why. But I thought that this would be a good way to use that normally very unproductive urge. So here is the one that we have chosen for right now. Oh boy. Wanderlust by Mythographic. Oof. This is what we're doing this for. This is exactly what we're doing this for, is to prove to myself that I can do it. I can touch a book and I don't have to get frustrated about it, and I don't have to finish a page. I can just touch the book. So, Mythographics Wanderlust, let's grab it. Now, the illustrator, of course, is Alessandra Fusi, and this is a daunting, daunting book. It is very, very detailed, and to add to that incredible amount of detail, it is also filled with hidden objects. So this will indeed be very interesting. When did this book come out? First edition was in 2021. So yeah, not too long ago, you know, like, I mean, it's 5 years. Man, anything after 2020 feels so recent, but realistically speaking. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to look through this and I'm going to talk you through my brain process. And this is going to be what a lot of this series is going to be about, is just me going through my process with you and then touching the book. So let's start with the whips. As I said, we have to at least touch one of the whips because there are whips in here. So here's the first whip. This was an experiment, a failed experiment. I was trying to do the background of the sky here using a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. So I wanted to see how it behaved on this paper. Now, I don't remember at all how it worked, but I don't like the result of it. And I'm going to 100%, no, 95% say that this was a user error and I will have to try it again. Because Pitt pens, I know, are very, very much loved, but they are a niche product. So you don't see them used a ton. I know Coloring Chemist uses them, and there's a few other colorists out there, but you know, it's one of those things that you don't see them as often as other types of markers and pencils. So by looking at this page, we can see that it is a hot mess of different interesting things, and that's what Wanderlust it really is. So we've got clouds, we've got the sky, a ton of these little bubbles in the sky as well. We've got a big ship with very like confusing sails, and it's really kind of hard to tell what's sky and what's sail. Very, very tough. And then we've got these planter pots and all these succulents. We've got more clouds down here at the bottom, which the ship seems to be sailing on. We've got some orcas here. And of course, all of these darned hidden objects, which only add to all of the confusion. So it is no surprise I have done pretty little in this book, but I have done some. It is not an untouched book, so that is great. And by that, I mean it in the metaphorical sense, in that it does actually have a completed page in it. So do we have any? I don't have any other whips, it doesn't look like. So let's see if we can find the completed page. Here it is. So this is the completed page that I've done in this book. I finished it off using a very bad washi tape border. I mean, the washi tape is really pretty, but I didn't make it very clean. I could probably still clean it up a little bit if I wanted to using a craft knife or something, but for now it's fine. I'm not going to bother. But yeah, so this I did finish, and I'm pretty, like, all things considered, I'm pretty happy with it. It was an earlier page for me. I did it in Prismacolor and then some paint for the background. But yeah, a very interesting mix of these swirly mushrooms, this caravan. These aren't roses, but they're some other kind of flower that's similar to roses. And then these sea dragons here. So a very interesting page to try and tackle. But I did do it, so that proves it is possible to complete books or complete pages in this book. I obviously have something flagged here. Oh, yes. This is my favorite page in the book, I think. Both in the fact that it's simple enough that I feel like I could complete it at some point, and simply that I do like snakes. I was born in the year of the snake. I had intended to do this for Year of the Snake last year, and I never got around to it. But I like this. I could do just a solid background, and then you've got the trees, the huts, these leaf things, which are all similar in shape, and then the big snake. And it's very simplistic as compared to the rest of the pages in the book. So obviously we are going to touch something on this page here, but let's go through the rest of the book and tag out anything else I might want to work on in this. So obviously the title page is always an option. If nothing else, I can put some color on that. These buildings throw me off because the detail on them is so fine. I really struggle, but that's a nice page otherwise. This one's also not too confusing if you can get past certain things, like these big swirls here. They're not really anything. You could make them any color you wanted. You could make them air, you could make them fire. Then you've got these like thatched brick shingled roofs. I'm not sure exactly what you call them. A little bit of ground cover, and then these like look like mangrove trees. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, and I think I could touch something on it. So let me pull out my basket of stickies. These are all reused stickies. They're barely sticky anymore, but that's okay. They don't have to be. They just have to sit between the pages. So I'm going to put, to differentiate any other tags I might have, I'll put them as center tags. I don't think I have anything going right now that I need center tags for. So this one with all these lines, I'm struggling. Are these like some kind of plant that doesn't have like a top to it? They're like hollow. It's very confusing. We've got these flying fish, these mushrooms, crystals. This is very complex. No, thank you. Okay, we've got a couple of betta fish, coral, which always intimidates me, waves in the background, this random building. Yeah, the more I look at this, the more I go, no, we're not going there. We've got empty lotus seed pods. The kitsune masks, a kitsune here. This one's not too bad, actually. Maybe we'll throw something on it. I've had my eye on this one for a while as well. It's not too bad. We've got the horse's mane as the waterfall here. We've got some rocks over here, the foam from the waves, little mushrooms. In here is a bit confusing, but I think it could be figured out. We've got these swirly mushrooms again. What is it with her and these swirly mushrooms? I see they're here too. All in all though, could probably be worked out. Yeah. This one, the background really confuses me. I'm sure once I started on it, I'd probably be able to figure it out, but it's really not calling to me today. So why am I marking it? I'm not marking this one. I have this problem now where ever since Space Timber started, I struggle to color space pages in any month other than September. So right now this page is just turning me right off, so I'm gonna move on. Oh, I love axolotls. And this is also a bit of a space page. And then this strange building in the background. No, we'll move on. Too wintry. I'm not in the mood if I can avoid it. Obviously, like I said, if I pull a Christmas book, too bad. But we're going to avoid it since I don't have to. I have other options. This one reminds me of the other whip that I have where the sky is rather confusing. But at least this one, it's sort of like confusing in a way that's like what's cloud and what's sky, which doesn't matter too much if you mess up. All these castles. Actually, this one's not bad. But I'm not going to mark it simply because I have that other whip that's kind of similar. Wow, the details in some of these plants, like these little plants here, is crazy. And I wouldn't know, I feel like there's a lot of metal in this, and I just don't feel like dealing with metal at the moment. I have another page that I'm going to be starting soon as a buddy color that has a lot of metal, so. This one feels very autumny to me. Reminds me of sort of like a redwood forest, and we've got the moose there. Yeah, it's just not calling to me right now. This is one I've looked at a couple of times. I'm going to mark it because I like it. I know that I like it. And again, the elements are at least broken down into a sense that you can kind of understand what's going on. You've got this main orb here. Each of the little orbs is sort of their own, you know, biome. And you've got the rabbits. That's very cute. I think that's doable. So again, this is very space-like. It's got the gears. We're going to skip it. The upside down buildings is a little interesting. No. Oh, thank you. All those lamps would be so bright. Oh my goodness. But it's a fairly simple page otherwise. That one actually I might mark because I can see all the different elements on it. We've got the lanterns. We've got the little red panda in this little dome thing. And then we've got the buildings and then these seed pods here. And that's basically it. So this one's a little bit more doable. Again, this one feels doable, but I'm just not in the mood for it. I have to be in a very specific mood to do this Day of the Dead type stuff. So I'm gonna skip it. This one's kind of interesting. It's got the lighthouse, which is the main focal point. And then we've got the stingrays or the manta rays. And then just the water. Yeah. That's possible. It's doable and I understand it, but I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to do all these like super modern buildings. I would have to take some time to figure out what to do with those buildings and the glass and everything else. And I just feel like that's not today's problem. And of course there's snaky poo. Again, reasonably simple in that it's just this gate, the Ferris wheel, the tulips, these bugs. Technically doable. I don't know how I would do the background though without drowning out these gates and everything. So that one would take a little bit more thinking than I'm willing to put in right now. This one I've looked at a few times. I love that the fish are made out of clouds, but it has some elements that make me a bit uncomfortable, like the way this cat is standing on air, whereas all the other cats seem to be like on something, like, I don't know. I'm just not ready to deal with that kind of almost AI looking accident. I know it's not, it reminds PTSD of the AI stuff, you know? And that's just, I don't know. It's just too much floral at the moment for me. Too many little flowers. And then plus the lanterns. No, it's not sitting well. These puffins and poppins are kind of cute, but again, with kind of the ice theme, I think I'm going to leave it for a later date. This one's pretty nice too. I've looked at this one before. I've had this one marked before, so I think I'm going to do that because I like this. It's got the waterfalls, the leaves, the volcano, Easter Island heads, but or the tiki heads. That's about it. That's about it. So that's actually reasonably simple to do. So it's a possibility. Just trying to look at what's going on here, trying to figure out what's going on here. Is this like an upside down flower of some kind? Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with this one. I'm leaving it. Again, this one's not too bad. Reasonably simple. I don't relish coloring panda bears though because of their black and white nature and the fur and the black and white fur are probably two of the most difficult things to color in certain aspects. So I think we're gonna leave it. And the nature of this just doesn't appeal to me at all. Just the masks and like the modern architecture and stuff. It just doesn't. I've had this one marked before. I know that. Again, the metal kind of turns me off a little bit, but honestly, it would be easy to start something else on this page and come back to the metals. There's lots of like these plants, just the mushrooms and the bulbs, and then like the toucans, not that bad. This one's also not that bad in the same sense that it's only a few elements. Yes, they're kind of squished together, but it's pretty easy to see what's what, but all that fur, no, I think I'll leave it. I know I've had this one marked before too, but I think I was in a very specific mood for it with all the, like this house and all the details that are in it, and then plus all these peacock feathers. Space. I love this page, but I'm not sure I want to color it. At least not yet. I don't know, something about it is beautiful, and I love it because I love snails, obviously. Snaily whaleys. No, you know what? I'm gonna mark it. You never know. You never know. Once I'm done putting some color on that whip, you never know. This might be the one that works. This one's, again, also reasonably simple. The owls, the books. See, I think because I'm starting to finally get used to Alessandra Fusi's style, it's less difficult now for me to look at this book than it was in the beginning of my, you know, when I first got the book. All those bells and metal and no thank you. Crystals. Now, there's a lot of elements on this one. I think I'm going to move on. Mixing the underwater with the sea is something that you see a lot, but underwater with the sky, space is something you see a lot, but it's not my cup of tea right now. And even though, again, this one's pretty simple, it just doesn't appeal to me. I've thought about doing this one before as well. It's pretty doable. So I like the fish in the bowl and the pretty big leaf, or the pretty big petaled simple flowers with the lilies, the lily pads, I mean. Yeah, I'll mark it. And that's it. Okay. So we have some options, so I'll leave those. But the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is touch this page. So I will pull out a scribble sheet here, and let's have a look at what we want to do first. The next thing that I'm going to tackle on here is maybe getting a base on some of these succulents. And I think the best thing to do that with that would be my Ohuhu alcohol markers. So I want to go a nice light grayish green, as most of these succulents would be. Don't want to go too light. I believe that all of my Ohuhus are old numbering system, so I don't have the new numbers. That is okay with me. I don't know any better. It's going to be a little bit of a shock when I have to eventually replace some of these, but that is okay. So I got these two colors out. They're both sort of like light grayish type of greens. So I'm going to start with this one. It's lighter. It is the light holly green. And I'm going to put down just some color on this first one here. Sometimes I really like basing and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I find that basing makes me a little lazy. And instead of going in for full depth of color, I will go, there's already enough color there. It looks pretty good. I may as well just leave it. So that's not always productive. But I think in this case, because I have so much direction as far as the detail work, I think it'll be good to get a base down to help separate the elements. Sometimes that's what basing is more about for me, is just figuring out what the heck we're going to do with all of these elements. In the case of mythographic specifically, that is not always an easy task. And mythographic is so unique in that it gives you the opportunity to use materials like alcohol markers. Not many detailed pages, books like this will allow that. And I'm going to do the other half of them in this slightly darker one. This is beige green. Just to give a little bit of variety. I'm already like sort of picturing in my mind the pencils I'm going to be using over top. In this case, it's definitely like when it comes to something complex where I'm already going to be struggling to figure out what I want to do with it, I'm going to default to pencils that I know really, really well. So it's either going to be my polys or my Prismas. I keep my cheaper pencils or pencils that I use less for pages that I understand better and that are easier already for me to picture completed, so that I don't have to worry about if I'm going to interrupt the flow of my brain by stopping to figure out colors. But in a page like this, I find it much, much better to try and keep the thinking to a minimum while I'm mid-process. So not having to figure out if the set of pencils that I am using is going to support the colors that I'm creating. That's one less thing in my brain to worry about. And then we've got these two succulents up here as well, so let's do that. I mean, all the plants in here are succulents, but like these big obvious ones are the ones that I'm talking about. Switch back to the other one for this one over here. Here's where it starts getting trickier, especially when you're using alcohol markers, is when, you know, things are starting to interrupt, like these clouds and these silly hidden objects. Although I don't hate the hidden objects in this book so much as I do in some of the other books, because this is already such a random book, you know, like the page itself is chaotic. So you add a little more chaos, what's the difference? Okay. So now let's look at these other types of succulents. Should we stick with the same base color? Yes, let's stick with the same base colors. Keep it simple. We can always add more shades of color by using our pencils afterwards. So let's start with this one over here. Yeah, that looks like it would go well with, let's do a slightly darker one. And I'll sort out the details later when I get to pencil work. Okay, what else can we do in this color? Maybe these ones down here. Takes a lot of concentration to use an alcohol marker in this fine a detail. But I bear in mind that this isn't the finished product. I always have options and ways to fix things if I go a little out of the lines. I can always use some Languo gel pens. Even Prismas will cover up a fair amount of mess. Okay, let's do this one down here. Those seem like flowers, so I'll leave those. But let's do, oh, here's another sucky over here. Or are these still succulents? No, those are flowers. I'm gonna go with flower on that. Okay. light one, we need to do this guy up here. This one reminds me a little bit of like an aloe vera plant. This one I feel like I've seen around. Maybe even my roommate might actually have it. Have to go see, check out her side of the world and see if this plant stands out to me. Actually, I think we might have it outside in the garden. As it is the middle of winter, that can wait. Okay. What else? What else? Hold on. Let's do these little sprouts here. Again, a lot of this will probably just be completely covered up by pencils and stuff anyways, but I'm just trying to give myself some differentiation to make it easier to map out as we go along. I feel like I need one more color for these sort of little plants like those. Okay. I just sat there staring at my colors for a second. I'm gonna go with 260 apple green. I want a little bit more of a yellowy green for these little plants. You know what I should have done? Pull out the green pit pen. I only have like 8 pit pens. So it's kind of hard for me to really test them out, but I can't bring myself to invest in them because I have so many other markers, and water-based markers are not my bread and butter, if you will. But if I come across anything else that's green on this page, I may pull out that pit pen, just for the sake of experimentation. Any more of those? Oh, yep, one over here. I think that's it. Oh, nope, there's another one. See, there's so much going on this page, it's really hard to tell. But the more you narrow it down by filling in the gaps, the easier it becomes to sort out all those other confusing things. All right, that'll do for that. Then next, I know exactly what I want to do for that. This diamond, I'm going to pull out one of my pit pens. Okay, so I grabbed my pit pens to see if there was anything else I could do on this page with them. I just have this landscape set, plus this really super light blue and the white. So we'll see if there's anything else we can do on here with those colors. So I've got the green gold, which I think would be very useful indeed for the rope, holding up the pot plants, and the mermaid's hair here. So let's do that. I mean, the nice thing about these is that they're very, very fine, almost like just slightly thicker than a fine liner. Which makes it easy for getting into these small spaces. Another thing I have to remember to do before I finish with this book is write down the date and the products that I used. I'm trying to get better at doing that so that I know how long a piece has taken me. and what I used, obviously, especially for these whips that sit for longer periods. It's just nice to know. There's another strand of hair there. Even just this is confusing. Okay, so then let's do the ropes and stuff. Doesn't help that I have shaky hands today. I don't know why. But again, not too worried about it. I'll fix everything with pencil eventually. See, and as I'm going, I'm just finding more and more that I can do, you know. When I first started this, it felt impossible, but the more I play around with it, the less stark it becomes. There's definitely a few spots in here that I'm going to have to correct. I got this dark blue in some areas that I shouldn't have. Just for funsies, I think I'm gonna color in this little Ouija board marker. I don't know what they're called. Okay, so there's another bit done. Is there anything else in here that I want to put some color on right now? I'm gonna take the dark blue because I know there was some over here that I missed, so. Is there anywhere else? I don't think so. Well, I'm gonna do this because just doing some touch-ups here with the dark blue in places where I was a little sloppy. Sorry this isn't the most like titillating experience for you, but I mean, if you wanted raw and real, here we are. The process. A few clouds that got some tendrils colored over, and that's okay. I'll probably just come back in with a white pen and fix it. This is the kind of page that not long ago I would have considered it ruined and completely unsalvageable. But now I know that there's very little that can't be salvaged, realistically speaking. With a little more skill and patience, trust in the process, you'd be amazed what you can do. Okay, so for these bobbly container things, I want to do them like a terracotta color. A little on the browner side, but like kind of terracotta-ish. I think I'm going to use an Old Faithful BR2 Potato Brown. It's a little bit on the red side, but not like red red. These things, they remind me of like coconuts almost. Wouldn't be surprised if they were made out of like coconut husk if they were real, because I've seen some things like that before. This is a little bit of a lighter color than I wanted, but honestly, that's actually probably good. I can add depth with pencil. And final one down here. Okay, this is good. I'm now wondering if I should try to add some of this brown to the boat. The boat is probably wood. No, you know what? I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Okay, let's see what else. Maybe do, I'm thinking of what I want to do with the orcas. I kind of want to, because the black is going to be hard to show, so I want to do something with those that's going to help them to stand out a little bit. Maybe, yeah, maybe I will do a base on them of a very dark, like Napoleon blue. And then I can create the black using texture. And if all else fails and I don't like it, I can go over it with a black marker. If these were smaller spaces, I would maybe use the same blue in the pit pens. But these alcohol markers are going to leave enough streaks as it is. But yeah, you'll notice my process is very much just fly by the seat of my pants. I just, whatever I'm feeling in that exact moment is the direction I go, but especially in complicated pages like this. Better to just pick out the elements that make sense to you and go from there. I'm gonna use a different dark blue for this second whale just to see if it makes any difference. It might not by the time we put all the shading in, but I'm curious. And I'm having a thought. My brain is just doing its thing because we're getting close to these flowers. I'm warring with myself between whether I want to do yellow or pink. Pink was the first thing that popped into my head. But then I was thinking in order to keep it a more cohesive color palette, I could do yellow instead. That might be the move to try and keep them from being too many colors. I could always do like add a little bit of pink or something to the clouds to help add a boost to the page. But I think, yeah, maybe I'll make the flowers yellow. And for that, I'm going to use YO30 Lemon Chiffon. I'm going to base all the flower-ish type things in the same tone of yellow. And let the pencils do the rest later. Anything else? No, I think that's all the flowers. Yep, I think that does that. Okay, let's pull out and have a look. Well, that's a heck of a lot more color than when we started, eh? And if I were to come in and do this, you know, every day, I'd have it done in not long, but you know, you don't always feel like doing these things and you don't always have the inspiration, so. But I'm glad I got at least a little bit done on this page. Now, I feel like I still have some energy left. I want to just look at the other pages one more time and see if there's anything that jumps out at me that I want to put color on. Okay. This page popped at me. So I'm going to put a little bit down on it. I just want to do some of the pages and the trunk of the trees. So, okay, so for the paper, I pulled out YG040, yellow gray. I find that one is a really good one for oldish paper. So I'm just gonna throw it down anywhere that I see paper. I don't know what it is about paper and books. I just very much enjoy coloring it. Paper is tricky, especially if it's white paper, but it very often isn't in the pages that we're coloring. It's very often old paper or like novel paper, which is, of course, not white. There's just no whimsy in white paper in most cases, so I don't think we see it in our coloring books for that reason. These books are very well drawn, though. The way as they're open, the spine is pulling away from the cover. It's a good attention to detail. Oh, there's a page up there I missed. This is tricky. Oh, there's another book in there. And there. Okay, and then I think it's just the big book, so. My marker is running out. That's okay though. I have a spare. And these don't have to be perfect. Again, it's just a base. Just a way for me to differentiate different elements. And of course, none of that was even on camera for you because I am good at this. Okay. I think that's about all I can do as far as the pages go. So then, the next thing I wanted to do was the wood on the tree. So I am going to make this easy on myself and go with light walnut, number E370. So I'm not being super careful because I'm envisioning using like an acrylic paint marker or something to do the background in. So if that's the case, Don't really have to be careful because it'll just cover it up. I've got to stop fooling myself into thinking that I can zoom out so far, or zoom in so far, because I always just leave you guys behind. I don't know what's going on here with this tree, but like the knot in the hollow is weirdly like filled with more bark. So that's a little weird, but this whole book's a little weird. I saw some more wood over here. Anywhere else? Just in here. Believe me when I say I started the idea for this particular video / series. I did not expect myself to be spending this long in this book. I figured if I picked a book like this, this would be one of those books where I would just touch the paper, just put the tiniest bit down, and move on to the next. I thought I'd get through like 3 or 4 books before I found one that I got stuck on. But here we are. Probably well over an hour into filming. And I'm still on the same book. Not the same page, but the same book. Wild world, isn't it? Is that basically all the wood? We've just got that little bit that's up here. I'm going to see. I mean, of all books, this book is one of the trickiest, arguably. This and Dreamweaver. And this is where we've ended up. Yeah. I feel like I need a yellower sort of ivory to go in there. You know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because if I was going to, I almost want to do that with like Albert Dürer. I have the perfect color combo for Albert Dürer on that, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. But you know what I should do while I'm thinking of it? Write things down, write things down. Okay, and there was just one other page that I had looked at, and it was that one. No. Nope, I'm done in this book for now. Okay, I'm gonna take a break, and I will be back. Okay, so we've had a little bit of a break. Well, I have. I don't know about you, but I have. And coming off the back of Wanderlust by Mythographic, my goodness, that was not the intense start to this series that I was expecting. However, it went well, I think. We got some work done in it, so let's try another one. We'll see if it's going to be like that, or if we're going to get a nice easy one again, or for the first time in this series. All right, pulled one out. No going back now. Let's see what it is. I folded these so tiny. Okay. Well, at least it's not complicated, but it is a Christmas book. So let's pull it out. I mean, this is good. I mean, I really only have 1, maybe 2 months in which I color Christmas. So if I can get myself to start coloring in these books more, I'd make a lot more progress in my collection. Okay. So we've got the book here. This is not an untouched book. I do have a couple of finished pages in here, so, and it doesn't look like I have any whips. So we're going to be starting a new page. First thing to check here is Okay, so the title page is not done. So of course that's going to be an option because we want to tackle the title pages. So let's put a marker on that one. I'm not sure what I have marks in here for, probably just random things at Christmas, but anyway, so this would be a cute one. You've got this door. It's a little more on the wintry side, which is nice. So it's not specifically Christmas. Like, yeah, there's a present, but my birthday is also in December, so it could be birthday themed. You don't know. I have done the nameplate page though, as you can see. Lots of glitter. That's the nice thing about Christmas pages, is that I do have an excuse to pull out the glitter. So that's nice. So I'm going to try to pull all these tags out so I'm not distracted by the tags, and we'll just do a quick flip. Now this is 50 pretty, simple pages, so hopefully it won't be a whole heck of a lot of talking, at least it's not as much as with the mythographic pages, but I will, of course, anything I need to give attention to, I will. This one's cute. It's a bit on the complex side, definitely with the baubles and the lights. It's festive, but it's cute. Did this one. That one turned out really cute. Soft pastel background, and then oh hoo hoo alcohol marker. Lots of glossy accents and jelly roll glaze. This could almost be mistaken for an anytime page with the sweet treats, and this isn't one that I would generally, I think, lean towards just naturally. So maybe it's one that's worth putting my mark on just for that sake, and maybe try to make it a little bit more spring-like for fun. This one's so cute, and I mean, it is still snowing here as of last night. So I will mark that one. I'm a big bunny fan, and this one would be a pretty quick one to get done, I think. Does not spark joy. See, now this one too, especially, could be made. And again, food is something I struggle with, and that's what this series should be, is helping me get into things that I would normally struggle with, especially when this is a book that I haven't struggled to touch. There's several completed pages in it, so I should branch out. Do some of the ones that I'm struggling to do. See, this one would be so easy for me to do. I love it so much, so I'm just gonna leave it. Snowflake Christmas fairies. No, I think I'm gonna. This was a buddy with some friends. I love the way it turned out. That one's kind of cute. I'll mark it. No. See, this one could be any time of year. Penguins live in the Antarctica, so it's always cold. It's nothing specifically Christmassy about it, so. Again, this one could be seen as being most times of year. That bear is cute, but I think I'm gonna give it a miss. I'm gonna struggle to do the angels in this. I don't know why, I just don't find angels interesting to color. They're cute, but not right now. Definitely not. It's kind of nice. See, there's another one that I think would be, again, with the food thing. Another one I did. I should have done a background of some kind on it, but oh well. See, and it's one of the reasons I don't have Camellia's like dessert themed miniatures, but I keep seeing people do flips of it or like doing pages in it, and I think maybe I could do it. Something about, maybe it's because the food is so cartoony, it doesn't bother me. That one's very cute. Ooh. You can see my sticky note through it. I'll mark it for now. We're gonna go back through all these marked ones afterwards and actually pick one. There's a little snowman I did. I decided to go a bit different on the color palette, as you can see. Try and shake it up a little. Food like a sweets train. Oh my god, he's so cute. Look at him, his little teeth. And then I think that one for New Year's 1 year. Did that one for New Year's 1 year. That one's cute too. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna mark this one and I'm gonna go back to the front and try to narrow it down for the first thing we're gonna start coloring. So first one is the title page. A bit on the detailed side. We've got these pine cones, a little flower wreath, holly, and what's on the front here? Oh, that's that penguin. Okay. Not sure I'm feeling it right now. So there's this guy. I don't know. This one's, of course, super cute. I don't know. I'm like right in the middle of, okay. We'll come back to it. I'm going to untag this one because I don't feel like doing it. I've already decided on that one. Okay, we'll come back to it. We'll leave that one tagged. That one's really cute too. I'll leave it for now. Those are so cute. Leaving them for sure. I'll leave that one. I like that one too. And I like that one. I'm gonna take this one out. Not that appealing at the exact moment. I'm gonna take the train out. He's so cute. I'm gonna take this one out too though. Okay, so we narrowed it a little bit. Let's go back. There was a few that I was humming and hawing over. So this one, I spent too much time humming and hawing. It's not the one. Hummed and hawed, let's take it out. I'm gonna take this one out too. Okay, we'll leave these marked and let's decide which one we're actually gonna color. It's like at least start coloring, so. I think I'm gonna do this one. I'm not sure why. Something about the little candies, I think, is getting me. I'm not sure, but yeah. So first things first, with pages like this, I need to narrow the field. I need to decide on how we're gonna do a background on this. And I have the perfect way to do that, generally speaking. I have several templates that I use specifically for creating backgrounds. Just have to find the proper size. It's a little too big. Maybe this one. I'm just gonna make sure it's evenly spaced. Okay. Now, you know what would be cool? like a negative space, almost. Okay, hold on. If we're gonna do that, then we have to make sure that this stays in place. So I'm gonna take a little bit of tape and put it in the corners. It's just really cheap Scotch tape, so not even Scotch tape, like translucent tape. Oh no, I moved it. Hold on. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Put that down. I'm gonna put another little piece on the other side. Nope. Okay. And now we're going to create a negative space. Okay, I'm going to use pan pastels to do this. I think that's going to be really fun. So I'm using a big sponge head thing. Get these on Temu, I think. And I'm just gonna hold the paper real tight. And I'm just kind of gonna go back and forth with color. I don't know what gave me this idea, but I just thought that for whatever reason, doing a negative space might be kind of fun. Okay, so we've done that. Now it is time to reveal what we've done, because this is the hardest part of doing something like a negative space, is that you have no idea. You have no idea what it looks like until you actually remove the cover. I like it. I like it a lot. I think that's really neat. Carefully taking the tape off. There we go. And then all that's left is just clean up that little bit of mess left behind. I need a new eraser piece, obviously. I will just use this eraser for right now. I think that looks super fun. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's different. It's pretty neat. So if nothing else, we've got it started, which is great. So now what's our next step? Guess we can make our little gingerbread man look a little bit like he's made out of gingerbread. And to do that, I'm going to use, in of course, my Ohuhus. I can zoom you in a bit for this part. Not too much. We don't want to lose you. I am kind of glad that we're getting a pretty big juxtaposition here between the two books that were chosen. was a little bit worried with the random aspect that, and the fact that I made the rule of no cheating. I was a little worried that we'd end up with a string of books I hated, but I mean, I guess if I hate them, they're not in my collection anymore, but books that I was hating in that exact moment and I didn't feel like working on, but this is fine. It's going rather well. Gingerbread can be for any time of year, right? Doesn't have to be the holidays. Although I made it pretty holiday looking by making the border green. But what the heck? I'm not actually hating the idea of doing a little bit of a Christmassy page here. Now that I've got that border in, it does kind of feel seasonal. I can feel my brain going a million miles a minute, as it always does when I'm coloring anything, really. But in this case in particular, because I'm filming, I'm trying to articulate what I'm thinking, but it's impossible because I have too many thoughts going on in my head all at the same time, and trying to pick which one is worth listening to is a challenge. Like, I'm pretty sure I should have said that I decided to do this cookie down here the same color as the gingerbread man. Whether I decide to turn it into a gingerbread cookie or not remains to be seen. But at least it adds another element of cohesion by adding the same color. And I might even add one of these macarons as a chocolate macaron. And that's kind of, I guess, where my brain sometimes goes, especially when I get into these simpler pages where the elements fill up pretty quickly. I think about, how can I balance it out? How can I make the colors flow across the page? And balance is really key in that case. I've created sort of a triangle here of the main elemental color. And then I just have to select the next elemental colors. I am going to knock this down from Christmas to slightly more neutral by, I think I'm gonna make his hat, I'm debating between pink and like a light mint green. Decisions. I think I'll do it pink. I'm gonna go bright light pink, shall we say. I'm using RV030 light hot pink. So that way it kind of fits a seasonal theme, but with non-seasonal colors. And then I will do this macaron pink. And then I will use the light green, G120 yellowish green, to do the icing on the cookie. And of course the final macaron. Yeah, that's fun. And then maybe I should do this fluff here, green as well, instead of making it white. That'll again bring some more balance to the page. Just brings this color up here. Yeah. It again takes it a little bit further away too from the actual holiday feels of it. I think this will be nice. There we go. There's most of the main elements. Now we have to decide what color these little candy gumball things are going to be. And then we'll have to do the glass, which of course I'll probably do in a very light blue, or almost a gray blue. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to pull out BG3 right now. Blue gray 3. Or actually, yeah. And I'm going to do all the glass. And you'll notice that I'm going right over the other colored areas to give it that look that you're seeing through a layer to see the items. I'm going to leave the little baubles out for the moment. I'll color into them after. I'm not too worried about the neatness on the white spots here because I can always go over them with a white marker. There. I think that gives it a really nice look. All right, so if I was going to work on this next, what would be my next move? See, I'm starting to get stuck now. I'm starting to draw a bit of a blank, so I guess that's where we're going to cut it for now. And sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes you get some inspiration and sometimes you lose it. And I find that if I keep forcing myself to push it further, then I'm just going to end up right back where I started, which is getting nothing done. Okay. I'm going to look at those pictures that I had marked one more time just to see if anything sticks out at me that screams color me. Is he standing on a snowball? That's cute, if so. See, the more I look at this, the more I realize that they're like decorating a tree and I don't feel like coloring it. But he's so cute. Me. Hey, that's the same cookie as was in the other one. Yeah, no, you know what? I think that's enough Christmas coloring for one day. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Yeah. Alrighty, so it is now the next day. Oh, this is going to be kind of fun. I'm actually really enjoying it. I think the removal of the pressure to finish something has really sparked my desire to film. So we'll see if this continues, and I'm just going to keep this going. So we have the jar. Oh, it is early in the morning, by the way. It is 10 to 9 in the morning, and it looks like Narnia outside. Apparently we got some snow over the evening. Super happy about that. Not. Okay, so we got, oh, The Way Home by Morgan O'Brien. Okay, let me grab that. So I do have this one on PDF, which you can get on his Ko-fi, coffee, you know, that store thing. And I think I have one done in this, one or two. So we've got lots of options here. And this is not in order, by the way. I don't know if I printed them in order or not, but I know I printed them all out eventually. That's me right now. Oh my goodness. But I don't fancy doing some of that metal work in the back, even though this is really cute. But you know what? Let's pull some flags out and I'll flag it. And we will see if nothing else comes up. I guess this might be the option. So, he's cute. That's a fairly simple one, but nighttime. A lot of greenery here. This big creature. I've seen, I think, I've seen the first season of The Mandalorian for sure. I'm not sure if I saw any subsequent seasons. I'm not sure. That's cute. That's actually kind of springy, him wanting to eat the eggs. Yeah, put a little flag on that bad boy. Oh, I loved these things. They were so cool. I'll flag him. I mean, they're all cute. Why do I keep saying that? It's a really simple one, but I can definitely see it colored. Again, another simple one. I've seen this one done a few times really beautifully, but I don't know if I want to do it right now. This is one I've done, obviously. It was just alcohol markers and a little bit of glitter pen. Sorry about the glare. That's what it feels like today. Maybe I'll mark it. Ooh, another egg one. And of course, this is the really simplest of them all. And that's it. Okay. So we've got quite a few options here. Yeah, I'm going to unmark this one because I found others that might be better to replace it. We've got him eating eggs there with all this foliage. This cute creature. Zen. I think I'm going to take this one out. It's cute, but it is a little bit of work and it is early in the morning, so like that one. Again, that one's a mood for right now. The egg. Okay, I'll remove this one because I can do that any time of year. Let's try to stick to the Eastery and yeah. I think the weather has decided for me. I'm gonna do this. Is that a tauntaun? Is that what it's called? Okay. So I do have these printed out on Nina cardstock. As you can see, they're quite sturdy. Now, I guess we may as well do, I was kind of hoping to pull something that forced me to do some pencil work for you, but I'm gonna have to at least get some basing done on this with some alcohol markers, some of these larger spaces, save some time, but hopefully we'll get to a point where we can do some pencil work and I don't burn out before then. So let's pull them out. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Tauntauns are usually brown, are they not? We don't have to adhere to that. We'll see. Let's see. Okay, first things first, okay, I got it. I'm gonna base the snow in this sort of aqua green. This is pale aqua mint. So I'm not doing it as icy blue. I'm doing it as a little bit greener blue, but I thought that would be kind of fun. When I'm doing snow, I kind of start with the mid-tone because I'm going to end up using a lot of white paint, whether it's gel pens, acrylic paint pens, acrylic paint itself. So the highlights in this instance will be added afterwards. We don't really have to leave room for highlights because we know we want the highlights to be pure white. I'm also liking this because it feels sort of like nighttime. So making the snow a deeper shade of color kind of will add to that. Hoping that I will have the wherewithal to add a bunch of glitter to this, but we will see how it turns out. Okay. So now again, if we're trying to make this a night scene, I kind of want to make the colors a bit darker than they normally would be. I'm going to assume that our light source, not that we really have a light source, but if there was one, it's coming from kind of over here. So, okay, so I've decided to go with warm gray for the tauntaun itself. I'll zoom in for this a little bit more and hopefully I remain in frame for you. Maybe I will even force myself to remain in frame by taping this down or weighing it down. Hopefully that'll help, and I'll just try to be a little careful. Okay, so I pulled out these three. I'm going to start with my highlight. Just a few flecks of it over in the tail because that's kind of away from the light source. So I've put in my highlights, and it doesn't matter if we end up going over these highlights with another color. It won't change how things go, so that's why I was pretty messy. I wasn't thinking too much about it. Moving in, oops, I forgot to do his little hands. Mid-tone. I don't know, I'm kind of just winging this. Just trying to figure out where the shadows would be, and all the shadows are going to be in my mid-tone when they're this, when we're on this side over here. The shadows are going to be in the dark tone when they're on the other side. Okay, so then we take the final darkest one. Just added a few little strokes here and there for some texture. But honestly, I think that this looks okay. Given the sketchy style of the drawing and everything, I'm not super worried about making it perfect. Okay, so for the horns, I'm going to use a slightly different color scheme. I'm going to use yellow grays for those, just to make them a little different, still blend in, but like be just a little different. So yeah, so I've got YG040 and YG080. Again, all of these are in the old numbering system. We'll do the claws the same color, the talons, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so we're going to get rid of these, and we're going to use completely different colors. Well, not completely different. They're going to be pretty neutral tones. But for Grogu and all his equipment here, we're going to use some different colors. So, okay, so I pulled some markers here in very dull colors. We've got browns and olive greens and yellow greens and things like that. So we're going to see how much of this Grogu we can get done, or at least based with this. So I've got, I'm thinking that this dark brown, the E310, is going to be good for anything that might be leather. So I'm going to start with the reins. We've got the support system of the saddle, the horn, the tree, knee roll and flaps, and the stirrup leathers. Yeah. And then, of course, let's do Grogu himself because we know what color that is. GY8 is going to do us for that. Okay. I pulled WG01 for all the fluffs, the fur and stuff. Or the wool, perhaps. Not sure what this would be made out of, but something well insulated, I would think. And I think that his actual cloak is going to be the E432. I'll make this bag same color. Actually, I should make this little holding strap. There we go. And then I have Y7. I think would do well for the bedroll and the saddle pad. I think I'm going to use I'm going to make the seat that warm white as well. And what the heck, we will use, whoops, sorry guys. Now I'm getting into some shading, just for funsies. Let's add a little bit of the Celadon to the warm gray here. also going to take some of the darker Celadon for the underside of the claws here. Maybe add just a smidge to these horns for a little extra dimension. Can't decide what color I want to do this particular saddlebag. I don't know. I'll keep working on other stuff in the meantime. Okay, so 310, so E430 would probably be a good shadow color for the leather. What the heck, we'll do this bag to super dark brown. We can bring in, oops, let's do Grogu first because we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Okay. Looks good. Yeah. These pages were just meant to be done in alcohol markers. I just love the way that they turn out, sort of that really sketchy style. I think it's quite nice. I'm going to grab the darkest of the Ohuhus, which is Y13, to do the final bits of shadow here. So we've got this bag. Okay. Well, I think that, oh, nope, one more thing. Shading underneath Grogu. Okay, that I think is everything. Let's add a little bit to the snow here. So we had G500. It's not often I get to break into my super teal colors. I'm just doing a bit of shading on these forward snowflakes here just to emphasize that they are closer to us. Okay. So that's that. Let's zoom out a little. I think he's looking pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab, where are you? Okay, I've got my Sino Silver here. Do the metal there. The metal there. And just a couple little metal add-ons just to make it a little fun. Now we grab white. And for this, I think I'm gonna try my Artex Simp Tap because these lines and stuff are very thick. So I don't want to use like a gel pen. We'd be here until next Tuesday. Okay, so I'm gonna emphasize all of these high points. I'm gonna outline these little snow globs. I'm just going to put a little bit of white on the highlight side of the Blizzard Flex. Oh, that was odd. My light went out. That was weird. All right. Sorry guys, I know my hand's like in the way, but I didn't expect to finish a page this episode, if you will. But we are getting very close to finished here. Okay, now that I've got a base down on those, I will pull out my big Languille white just to emphasize the white. It is pretty opaque. Okay, and now I just have one final finishing touch to do. And there we have it. So the only thing that's left to do on this now is I'm going to let this dry, and then in a while I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a gloss coat, because this varnish for whatever reason is matte. It's very strange, but I'm going to come back with a gloss coat, put it over all the areas with glitter, just to brighten up the sparkle a little bit, but otherwise she's finished. Wow, I cannot believe that that happened. I did not expect to finish a page in this video. So, all right. Well, thanks guys for joining me. Thanks guys for sticking around. Let me know if you like this video, if this is a kind of content that you'd be willing to see in the future, because I certainly enjoyed making it. If you have other video ideas for me that you think would be good, that don't involve too much pressure to finish things, I would be happy to consider them. So let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do all those wonderful things. I will probably have some Amazon affiliate links in the description if you want to check out some stuff that you might want to consider purchasing. Things like that do help out the channel quite a bit. But thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one. Toodaloo!